So today topic is SQLRPGLE. So before this, we'll just recap the last sessions. And yesterday we discussed about the printer files, like where we design the some printer file, and we have a requirement to that generate the one kind of student file, student report where it is having the student name, number, and address. So for that, we designed the printer file and we populated those values from the student physical file. So for that, we return the Rpgle program. So there are two type of printer files. One is externally described printer file and another is a program described printer file. So externally described printer file, which means where you design the printer file outside of the program and you declare that file into the program. So there is a program described in a sense which you can use. The name should be QSysPRT and you have to define the structure of the printer file within the program itself. So after the star INLR is equal to star and you can define, you can use that. Okay. And so these are the two kind of printer files. And we use the first scenario, we use the write header and write header to and write the details. And second scenario, we used accept one, accept. So where you need to populate and where you need to write the information on the printer files. So today we are going to discuss about the SQLRPGLE and why we need a SQLRPGLE. We have a RPGLE, and by using RPGLE you can read the records and update the records, and you can write the records into the physical file. You can perform the date operations and you can do anything. So by using the RPGLE. So again, why you need a SQLRPGLE? So SQL RPGLE, it is help us to where you can execute the some SQL queries through programmatically. So where you have some complex queries and where you wanted to fetch the data by using some SQL queries. How you can achieve that? So by using SQL RPGLE, and where it is having a complex queries and it is allows to perform and including the joins, and where you have some subqueries and aggregate functions, and you can do that by using SQL RPGLE. And the performance wise, so the many cases the SQL operations can be optimized by the database engine for better performance. So when it comes to the so data operation, with respect to the data operation, the SQL performance is very good compared to the RPGLE. But what is the disadvantage to use a SQL RPGLE means it is quite complexity to do the debugging. For example, you return the program in SQL RPGLE, there is 100 or 200 lines of piece of code. It is a it is bit complexity for debugging those SQL RPGLE program. Okay, and performance wise, the SQL RPGLE is very good. And next, and SQL RPGLE, there is a two types: statistic SQL and dynamic SQL. Statistic SQL, so whatever you wanted, you can directly hard code it. For example, in the file, I wanted to fetch the record where the student number is equal to one, and you can just mention select the star from where student is equal to one. One is a hard coded value. So always, whenever you 100 times if you perform that query, you will get the student number one only. So where you have a requirement, that based on the passing information, I wanted to fetch the record. Okay, the student where the student number is equal to one, that is a hard coded. Instead of where student number is equal to one, I wanted to make it is a dynamically, because sometimes I need to fetch the first record and sometimes it can be third and fifth or sixth record because it based on the user input. And those SQL queries called the dynamic SQL. Okay, so the mainly what is a type of SQL? It is a SQL RPG or SQL RPGLE, like how the physical files are PF and logical files are LF and RPGLE or RPGLE. So like that in for SQL RPGLE, how you can find out that what kind of object it is in the system. It is a so by using this type, and the SQL RPGLE program would be the type is a SQL RPGLE only. So we'll write the some sample, we'll start the demos, and we'll write this piece of code. It is a standard format. Okay. So in the RPGL, there is a two types, right? Standard and the free format. It is a standard. In the standard type, in the C specification, you can write such way. Okay. So here what we are doing, we are inserting the some values into the file by using the SQL RPGL. Okay. So if you use the SQL RPG, you no need to declare the file in the F specification, and you can directly write the query. Okay. But when it comes to the RPGL, you have to explicitly declare your file in the F specification if you wanted to perform the input or output or update operations. But in SQL RPGLE, you don't need to declare it. You can directly go and write the SQL queries. And here it is, we are inserting the some values into the file, and here it is a free format. Okay, so and it is again, we are what we are doing, we are updating the record here, and here also we are updating the record, but here it is a dynamic way. How you can understand it is a dynamic way? Because in this scenario, if you can see, so we are again updating the employees at employee address is called Hyderabad and where employee number is equal to 5. So if you execute this query 100 times, the only fifth record will be updated. And this query is a dynamic because here employee number you are passing the some host variable, which is called the host variable. Okay, and you are assigning the some host variable value. Okay, in future if I change this host variable to 7 or 8, and this query will be changed, right? So this is a dynamic query, and you are not touching the query, but you are touching the host variable where it is having the value. Okay, so this is a dynamically. Okay, and we'll do these exercises in SQLRPGLE, and then we'll go to the next topic. So we have a student file, right? We'll take the student file, or else we'll do one thing. So we'll create one employee file, 198638324. So work mbrpdm. So here I am going to create one file, crtsrcpf f4 and qrpq sqlrpgle 1. Okay, and here one can mention q sqlrpgle 1. Go to the work mbrpdm, enter. So q, this is a source file, I am going sqlrpgle1, enter. Okay, here I am going to create one file called employee1. Okay, and it is a pf physical file, enter, enter. ippf or and employee1 or, enter. And here you can give emp name, that is a how much length, emp name 10 length, right? It is a 10a, and I can give employee number, right? So what are the here, employee number and address? I'll take employee number, and it is some 5 is 0, and then I'll use employee address, emp address, then I'll give some 10. Yeah, so that's it. So nothing I'm going to given, so just to file it and 14 compared. So just do the RQ. There is no records in the employee file, right? So now I am going to write the SQL queries to insert the records into this file. Okay. So F6. So SQL001. Okay. And SQLRPGLE. Enter. Enter. So you just take IPC, and here what you can take. Here you can just take a backslash here. So backslash, and here you can do exec execute SQL. Okay, and here I enter. So that is what you have to mention, execute SQL, and here C again backslash, and what SQL query you wanted to do. Here we'll write this set option commit is equal to star none. So why we are doing this commit is equal to star none? Because so before inserting or updating the record, you have to commit your file. Okay, that is why you have to perform this option. So this backslash will be will tell the system where the SQL query started, and this is a SQL query. So set option commit is equal to star none. That is right. Set option commit is equal to star none, and this is a query. And here you have to mention again it is a end exec. Okay, end SQL query. So end and exec. Okay, the query is started from one line and ended from the third line. And next again we are going to perform one more query, and that is just rp, if I can mention, and you have to insert, right? For that exec execute SQL again, and here we are going to write C plus. Okay, so this is a query, and it is a started and this query, and then we'll do the end. Here insert into which file? employee employ employee one, and so employee one, I think here you have to mention the field names, employee name and emp number and emp address. Okay, and then um, here values. So here values I need to put something. Okay, so Ramu, and next 123, and next I'll give HYDE Hyderabad. In the quotations you have to give this. Okay, this is what you're doing. Then you can perform ndxcc. Okay, here backslash end exec. Okay, and that's it. And again here what you have to do is, just if any error is come, and you should show the SQL code. Okay, that SQL code is the error handling. Just F4 SQL COD code display. Okay, DSPLAY display. So basically SQL code will show the that is statements are executed correctly or not. Okay, SQL code, then you can give eval star INL is equal to star. So eval star INLR is equal to star on. That's it. Okay, so here what you are doing, so first since we are going to perform the insert operation, you have to commit your file. So that is why we set option commit is equal to star none, and then you are inserting the record, insert into employee one, for which value, which fields, employee name, number and address. The values would be Ramu and 123 and Hyderabad, and end execute. And this is a end exec, which means end the SQL query till now. So this is till here, it is a one statement and you have to perform it this. Then you are displaying the SQL query. Here if it is successful or unsuccessful, you can tell. If you get 100, there is a no record. If it is minus 100 or plus 200, 300 something, anything, so then it would be syntactical error. Then SQL code is equal to 0, it is a successful scenario. Okay, and eval star NL is equal to star on. So what you can do, you can just file it and compile it. That's it. Just file it and compile it. You can see it is a compiled. Now I am calling the program. So I called and display 0, which means the SQL query executed successfully. So which means go and see if there is any record is inserted into your file. Yes, the record is inserted into the your file Ramu 123 and Hyderabad. So such a way you can insert the records by using the SQL queries here. Okay, so we'll do the same exercise in the free format. Okay, in the free format, what you can do, you no need to mention this C1. Okay, so instead of that, what you can do, you can just remove all these C's. Okay, I removed, and you can just perform in here IPC and sorry, not IPC. Here you can give I enter, just free, and here the SQL code, this one control X, end free, free and end free. Here display SQL code, and here exec execute SQL, and then star none. And basically you no need to mention the end execution. I think that is what you have to do. Okay, so here you should not mention colon, it is not required here, and it is a single statement. Here execute SQL until here it is a single statement, and you no need to mention the end exec in the free format, and display SQL code, and you can just mention another one. I enter star INLR is equal to star INLR, star INLR is equal to star on, enter. Okay, so this is how you can do the free format. In the free format, you no need to mention the end exec, and you should not give the colon for the this semicolon for the exec SQL. Okay, because this entire two statement will be the one SQL query, and this three statement will be the one SQL query. Okay, that is why you have to give the semicolon where that query going to be ended. So in this scenario, the query is ended at seventh line, so that is why given the colon here. This scenario query ended at the second line itself, that is why given the colon here itself. You can just here will introduce another so Arjun insert. Okay, Arjun, and here not 1 2 3, and you can give 4 5 6, and here you can give Pune. So just compile now. SQL code 2 is a compiled, and when you call this program, the display SQL code is equal 0, which means the insert operation performed successfully. And just to go and check, the second record will is inserted. So second record also insert, and this is how you can insert the records by using SQL queries in the RPGLE. Okay, and now what we are going to do, so we'll perform the update one. So far we inserted, right? So we'll perform the update query. Okay, I'll write in the free format. You can try in the standard format. You can see in the standard format here itself. Okay, and the same way you can write in the free format as well. Okay, so first I'll write the two update queries. One is the dynamic, one is a statistic, another is a dynamic. I'll just copy this one. SQL code is equal to 3. So here I'm going to take option 2, and here, so this is a first is fine. Here update and file name, here you have to give the set emp address is equal to Pune, and where, which one, emp number is equal to 2. Okay, so that is a second where emp number is equal to 123, because for 123, what is the address? It is Hyderabad, right? So that is why I'm going to change it here, delete it. Okay, so update set option 123, just to file it and go and see RQ run query, and you can see the 123 address is a Hyderabad. So now we are updating that address by using the SQL query, and it is a statistic SQL query. Why? Because you are hard coded the employee number. You are not given the any host variable. Hard coded in a sense, you are directly given that employee number. It is the, what is the exact employee number you given directly, that 123. So we are updating the employee one, set employee address is equal to Pune, where employee number is equal to 123. And now you can compile this program, and when you call this program, SQL code is equal to 0, which means it's ran successfully. When you go and argue run query and see, the address is changed to Pune. Okay, so now what I will do, and next I'll run the dynamic query 3, and where I cannot directly pass the value. Here I cannot directly pass the value. Instead of that, I'll give the work variable w underscore emp number. So w underscore emp number, I'll declare it and I'll pass some value. IPD enter. Here w underscore emp number, standalone field, and it is a 5. Yes, 0. Enter. And here I you can give I enter. Here what you can give, w underscore emp number is equal to 123, you can give. Okay, so you are passing the value dynamically, so not statistically you are passing, because so you are giving, you are using the host variable here. So when the employee number 123, the query is updated for 123. When emp number is called 456, the query is updated for the 456. Instead of Pune, we'll change HYDE, insert RABAD, Hyderabad, for 123. Okay, so now you can file it and compile it. It is a compile, and go and check employee first before calling that. You can see the 123 is Pune. So now what I am going to do, I just call this program, and then that update SQL code is equal to 0. Then query is run successfully, and RQ enter, and you can see it is updated to Hyderabad. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, so I wanted to change instead of 123, I can just do the 456. I'm not touching SQL query. I'm just changing the value, and based on the value changes, the query needs to be modified and update the respective employee address. Okay. In this scenario, you have to it has to update the 456 employee address. Okay, and just 14 and compile it and call the program, and now you can see it is SQL code is equal to 0. So then you can see, just to go and see IQ. Hello. Okay, and just do that, and here you can see the address is changed. Okay, so now what you can do, and this is how, this is a dynamic selection, because here you're based on the value the query is updating, and earlier scenario the value is hard coded, you directly given the value. Okay, and if you wanted to change again, you have to come to this query and change the value. But in this case, so we use this value as in the program itself, but in the real time scenario this value might received as an enter parameter. So in that case it can be help us. Okay. So next, it's a dynamic also completed, and in SQL one of the important topic is the cursors. Okay, so what is a cursor and why we need to use a cursor? Basically, so for example, you have a physical file. If you wanted to read the record from the top to bottom in RPGLE, what you will do? You will declare that file, and you can perform the read operation do while not percentile end of file from the top to bottom. Okay, you can read it. But what if I wanted to achieve the same scenario by using SQLRPGLE? So I wanted to read the record from the file from top to bottom. I don't want to use the RPGLE. Instead of that, I wanted to use a SQLRPGLE. So for that, the cursors would help us to read the record from the file top to bottom. So there is a steps involved into this cursor. First you have to declare your cursor, then open your cursor, and once you open your cursor, then you have to perform the fetch statement, and from that cursor you wanted to read the record, and then you have to find out, you have to write the condition either the cursor is fetched any records or not. If it is fetched, which means do while SQL code is equal to 0. The do while SQL code is equal to 0, which means the query is executed and there is a record in your SQL query, then the cursor. And if a record is not found, and SQL code will be 100. If there is an error and SQL code is a negative values less than zeros, and after records are has been fetched, and you have to close your cursor. Okay, this is a cursor steps, and it is a very important interview question in the SQLRPGLE. This is the only one and only question the interviewer will ask: what is a cursor, and tell me the steps of the cursor. Okay, so it is a mandatory question in the SQL RPGLE, and he might also ask how you can handle the errors and how you know that the query is performed successfully or not. How you know that the cursor having the records or not. If SQL code is equal to 0, that SQL query is executed successfully and there is a record found. And if SQL code is equal to 100, the query is executed but there is no record found. If SQL query is SQL code less than 0, which means minus 100, minus 200, minus value anything, which means there is a query not executed correctly, it is a syntactical error or something has happened, and we need to check that. Okay, and these are the some SQL codes. And there is a two types of cursor. One is a sequential cursor, one is a scrollable cursor. The sequential cursor is very hard to read the record from top to bottom, you cannot break the records. Okay, so you can read top to bottom. And what if I wanted to read it from the, for example, I have 100 records and I wanted to read it from the 50 record, I wanted to read from bottom to top. And how you can do that? For that you have to use the scrollable cursor. Okay, and scrollable cursor will help us to read from whatever you wanted to read and wherever you wanted to read it from the file. But sequential cursor, you have to read it from the top to bottom only. And how you can identify it is a scrollable cursor or sequential cursor? For scrollable cursor, we use a scroll keyword. So while you writing the SQL query, you mention while declaring your cursor, and you mention the scroll keyword so that you can understand it is a scrollable cursor. So next, the sequential cursor is a one defined without a scroll keyword, and sequential cursor useful to, you need to process a larger result by row. And okay, and especially when order processing matters or when you need perform some logic on each row individually. And this is how. So it is a sequential cursor example. I'll just make it as a slideshow. So here you can see what we are doing. So declare the cursor C1 for, and we are fetching the employee and number from the employee. Okay. So we have a employee one file, right? From there we are fetching the employee name and number. And next we are open cursor, open C1. So cursor we declare the cursor C1, declare the C1. You can mention instead of C1, A1, B1, D1, anything you can mention, but you have to here important is that declare cursor name and cursor for which statement, which SQL query you are declaring that. So select EMP name, EMP number from employee, and then open that cursor, fetch C1. So whatever the values you fetched from the C1, insert into and W underscore EMP name and W underscore EMP number, because we are fetching the employee name and number, and those values we are moving into the some work variable. And here you are doing dual SQL code is equal 0. If there is any record found, you have to display the employee name, and next you have to read the second record from the cursor. So that is why you have to fetch another fetch statement inside and do, and then close the cursor. And this is a sequential cursor, because we are not use the scroll keyword while declaring the this cursor. Okay. And next it goes to the, it is a free format. Okay. So I'll tell you in the free format, you can write it in the standard format. Okay. And scroll cursor, if you can see here, and here you are using the scroll keyword, declare C1 scroll keyword, and for the employee, and you are fetching from the last, and here again the fetching from the period. And there is some keywords which you can use for the scroll cursor. For example, if I wanted to read the next record where your cursor placed, and you can use the next. And for example, you wanted to read the record from the bottom to top, and then you can to mention the last, from last I wanted to read it. Or if you wanted to read it from the top to bottom, you can use the period, and you can use before record, and where you place the cursor before that record, and if you wanted to read it before, and if you wanted to place the cursor and from that after record, if you wanted to read it after. Okay. So these are the some keywords which you can use for the scroll cursor. So we'll do the demo on the sequential and scroll cursor. Okay. And first we'll go with the sequential cursor. So we'll open this and F6. If you observe this, without declaring the file, we are doing all the file operations in the SQLRPGLE. So that is the beauty of SQLRPGLE. So, but in RPGLE, you have to explicitly declare your file. And but in SQLRPGLE, you don't need to declare the file in the F specification. You can directly write the queries. Okay. And work mbrpdm, enter, and take F6 here. SQL005 and SQLRPGLE, enter. So first you have to I wanted to write it in the free format, right? So first you have to DECLA, declare C1 and cursor for, and write the query here. Okay, cursor for what? Select EMP name comma EMP number from employee one file. Okay. And here you can, so this is what SQL query. So then you have to must specify exec right? exec. Okay. That's it. So this is what you have to do. And first you declare the cursor. Okay. Then so what are the values you are fetching, and that you have, next you have to open the cursor, right? I enter, and exec SQL, enter, open, open C1 is the cursor, that is why open C1. Okay. And next what you can do, exec SQL, you have to perform the fetch, fetch from C1 into, and you wanted to, you have to store it in the some work variable, w underscore emp name comma w underscore emp number. So for this too you have to store it. Okay. I think the fetch is correct only, right? Fetch from C1 into w underscore emp. Why you are putting this, here your column should be here itself. So why you are doing this way? fetch fetch, that's it. Okay. So why you are giving the this column before the variables? Because this is all the host variable. So by if you declare like this, the system understand these are the host variables. Okay, and then you can give I enter, enter, and here you can give IPs, not IPC 5, and then I enter. So what you can do here, you can take execsql, execsql, enter. So fetch is done, right? So now, okay, fetch is done. So now you have to identify, so that identify that there is the records are present in cursor or not. So that is what you have to identify it. Okay, rp5, repeat the 5 times. So for that, what you can do, so do while sql code is equal to sql code equal to 0, which means there is a record in the there is a records in the cursor. Then you can display emp name, employee name I wanted to display, and just next I wanted to read the second record from my cursor. For that, you have to explicitly mention this statement in the inside loop. Okay, inside do loop. Okay, and do, here you can mention and do, and that's it. Okay, so this you have to mention inside it, right? Here you can mention. So that's it. And after everything is done, what you have to do, and you have to close your cursor, right? And for that, exec sql and close c1. So this is how you can close, and finally you have to write the star inlr is equal to star on, which means the program is ended. So that's it. That's it. Okay, page up, page up, page up, and just to file it. And here you have to, what you have to do, here you have to declare your work variables, right? IPD enter, and w underscore emp name, and this I use standalone. And we also learned that here you can give the 10. Yeah, okay. And here IPD enter, w underscore emp number, you have to give emp number, and this is also standalone, and it is a 5s0, 5 yes 0, enter, enter. Okay, so that's it you have to do. So that's it. And here what we are doing, first we are declaring the cursor c1 for the SQL query, and open the cursor and fetch the record from cursor, and assigning to the work variables. Then you are checking that cursor having the records or not. If it is there, and display the emp name, then read the second record from that cursor, and then undo, and finally closing the cursor, and just star NLR is equal to star. File it and compile it. So there is a one error, SP shift F6, and if I go bottom page up, the name or indicator not defined. What is that? 7030. So EMP name, and EMP name, that is what we use, right? W underscore EMP name and EMP number. EMP name and EMP number. That's it, right? EMP name, EMP number, employee file, W underscore, declare C1 for, declare C1 cursor for select EMP name, EMP number from employee. Okay, here spelling mistake. EMP LOYE employee 1, right? Here also you have to give employee. That's it. The file name we given wrong. What happened? EMP LOYE employee 1. SP shift F6. You can go and check again. 5. Go bottom page up. Again name or indicator 7030. I think for that only. EMP name. Declare C1 for EMP name and EMP number from employee 1. C1 fetch C1 into W underscore EMP name, EMP number, SQL code, EMP name, fetch into the W underscore, fetch from C1 into and enter 2. That's it. Okay, why we are getting this error? I'll go and check once. So name or indicator 18th line EMP name. Okay, here you have to give display W underscore EMP name. Sorry. Okay, because this is what we are getting from the cursor and we are loading into the this employee name, right? So that is why you should give here W underscore EMP name. So now compile it. So it's a compile when you call this program. So Ramu and Arjun, there is a two records in your file and two records are read and it showed. Okay. So when you call this program, Ramu and Arjun. And so this is a standard cursor. So what we have done, you have just declare the cursor and open the cursor. You have done the fetch statement, and if there is a records and you are displaying that record, again you are reading the second record. Okay, this is a standard cursor. So where I wanted to write the program for the scrollable cursor. Okay, for that what you can do, you can use the same logic, but instead of declare cursor C1 cursor, you have to mention the scroll keyword. Okay, so you have to mention the scroll keyword C1 scroll cursor here. Okay, insert SCR scroll cursor. So right, SCROLL. Okay, so this is what you have to mention, and after you declaring the cursor, you have to give write the statement like from where you wanted to fetch the record. You declare the cursor at some position and you wanted to read the record from after that cursor or before that cursor, how you wanted to read it, and that you have to mention in the fetch statement. And fetch insert, I'll mention the fetch last from. So from that cursor you can read from bottom, okay, last from, and read it. And here, so after reading the last record and before, and you wanted to read the you have to read the first last record, and then you have to read the before to last record and before that record and before that record. Okay, so then here I have to mention the period. Insert period. I think that's one. Okay. So then what it is do, it read the record from bottom to top. Okay, just to 14, compile it and call the program. First you got Arjun, then you got the Ram. Okay, and this is a scroll cursor, and that is a standard cursor. Okay, so this is all for